And welcome to episode 76 of Kings of Consoles. This is the podcast where we're trying to find the best game for each home video game console by means of giant tournaments. We are 3/4 of the way through our NES tournament, as last week we saw DuckTales get knocked out by Bubble Bobble. Today we will see if a fellow Capcom Disney platformer, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, the number 71 seed in our tournament, can avenge that loss as it goes up against number 39, Dragon Warrior 4. I'm Pat Dooley.
Yeah, I'm Ricky Geraldo.
And yeah, we were talking before we recorded that DuckTales just cut a rough break going up against Bubble Bobble. It's a great game, probably deserves to be in the final 16, but you know, that's just the way brackets work out sometimes, as you just run into a rough game earlier than you'd like. Because some of the games that have moved on, I would have put DuckTales over.
Yeah, it was a crazy upset, that's for sure.
Yep. But also Bubble Bobble, totally deserving of its spot. Just there's not really anything like it. We do always start by talking about the underdog, which is not a game that there's nothing like because it's very similar to DuckTales. It is the number 71 seed in our tournament, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, a 1990 platformer developed and published by Capcom. It was produced by Tokuro Fujiwara, who had previously worked on Mega Man 2, Ghosts and Goblins, and other Capcom classics, and Darlene Waddington, designed by Masayoshi Kurokawa, with music composed by Harumi Fujita. We first saw it way back in episode 11 when it beat Mega Man 6. And then in episode 50, it knocked out, no pun intended, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Chip, Dale, and Gadget are on a mission to find a girl named Mandy's missing kitten, while Monterey Jack and Zipper are off to find out why strange mechanical dogs are popping up everywhere. As it turns out, they're related, as the villainous Fat Cat has faked the missing cat case in order to kidnap Gadget and make her work for him. Now the other Rangers have to rescue her, making their way through 10 levels to Fat Cat's casino for a final showdown. With 1.2 million units sold, it's tied with Quinn Bee and Ganbare Goemon Karakuri Dochu for 57th best-selling game for the NES. It's the 28th best-selling game in the tournament and 13th among the games still remaining. It is also one of only 3 Capcom games left, alongside Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 5.
All right.
So, looking to bounce back, Capcom with their Disney platformers after last week's loss for DuckTales. And, we've been saying since episode 11 that Chippendale Rescue Rangers is one of the, major bright spots on the console. This is a fantastic game.
So it's great, yeah.
Just the right mix of challenge and accessibility. It's never too hard for, obviously it's designed for kids. It's based on a Saturday morning Disney cartoon, but it's got that NES challenge level, tricky jumps and enemies that come at you from, kind of awkward angles. But it just feels like a crisper version of what DuckTales was doing in their game. Capcom kind of nailed it this time around with Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, man, it really did. Just the visuals of this game is great. The enemies of this game is great. I was just thinking about where I left off. They have the giant cranes, the birds.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just wobbling there, and then they capture your rocks, or not your rocks, your
little blocks that you pick up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they throw them back at you if you don't hit them just right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, just the little that seems like something that would belong in a Mega Man game, but it's also so uniquely this game that it wouldn't quite fit in a Mega Man game.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels good. The game, it feels real good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the controls are really crisp. The only thing that I found myself a little frustrated over when I was playing was occasionally, depending on how I was moving, they would throw the blocks up in the air rather than forward if I was trying to hit something. But that's a pretty minor gripe.
That's happened to me too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But if that's the biggest problem I can think of for the game,
It's not
It
bad.
really is.
It's not,
It's a masterpiece.
it's not bad.
And
But yeah, the
71
game
is way
is,
too low on this list.
it's probably that low because it was, Chippendale.
I guess. I mean,
No,
DuckTales
but
was number 10. And this, I would say this is a better game than DuckTales. I know DuckTales has kind of the, no pun intended, the longer tail. Like people, the music from DuckTales, the game is still being used in games and in DuckTales cartoons and stuff like that. But I don't know. I enjoy the Rescue Rangers game more personally.
yeah, I do too. I agree with you. I don't know. Maybe I think it's probably because DuckTales was more popular,
That's probably
I
it.
guess. But
Yeah, I mean, it
I
makes
agree with you.
sense.
I think it's a better game for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's cool because it does a lot of things that we have seen in other games. Like it's got the Bionic Commando style overworld map where you can pick which zone you're going into to play. It's got the very similar to DuckTales as far as the platforming goes, and it's got sort of Mario 2 elements to it where you can pick up things out of the ground and throw them. It's apples instead of turnips or carrots or whatever in Mario 2. But it's that
Right.
same kind of mechanic: jump on something, pick it up, throw it. It's just a kind of an amalgamation of a lot of different gaming elements that we had seen already up to that point by 1990. Just very crisply done. Really, really good platformer that would have worked even if it wasn't a Nintendo game. Even without the Rescue Rangers license, a game with the same elements still would have been great. But like DuckTales and unlike, say, Fester's Quest, it takes the license, takes the characters and the world of Rescue Rangers and builds the game off of that rather than trying to cram the characters into something else. Like, say, fighting aliens with the blunderbuss and then every once in a while seeing a still image of characters from the beloved TV show.
Yep. It did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does have a steep hill to climb because it is up against another iconic NES game, which is Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest 4, a 1992 RPG developed by Chunsoft and published by Enix. It was directed by Koichi Nakamura, produced by Yukinobu Chida, designed and written by Yuji Horii, programmed by Kan Naito and Manabu Yamana, with art from Akira Toriyama and music composed by Koichi Sugiyama. We first saw it back in episode 22 when it beat Section Z, and then again in episode 49 when it eliminated Metal Gear. The story split into 5 chapters, each focusing on a different hero. A soldier named Ragnar, Princess Elena, a merchant named Torneko, 2 sisters named Maya and Melina. I'm sorry, and Mina, not Melina. I've got Mortal Kombat on the brain because it's the free game on PS Plus starting tomorrow from the time we're recording this. Maya's a dancer, Mina's a fortune teller. And then finally, the actual hero of the game, who teams up with the previous protagonists in an Avengers-style team-up as they head to an inevitable confrontation with Sorrow, the Manslayer, who wants to become the ruler of evil. With 3.18 million copies sold, it's the 15th best-selling NES game, 12th in our tournament, and 6th among those remaining. It's also the 3rd highest grossing NES game not developed by Nintendo, behind only Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Dragon Warrior 3. It won the Best Game Grand Prize and Best RPG Game in Famitsu Magazine's Best Hit Game Awards, as well as Best Challenge and 2nd place for Best Overall Game in Nintendo Power's 1993 awards. Nintendo Power also called it the 18th best NES game, and Famitsu's readers called it the 14th best game of all time, period. Wow. So, iconic game here. One of the maybe the best RPG on the NES. This is really excellent. It took what the first 3 games in the franchise had done. Took some elements from from Final Fantasy, from even from like action RPGs like Zelda, and put together a really well polished RPG for for what you could do, what you were limited to on an 8-bit system like the NES.
Yeah, it's definitely I mean, I think I said it last time. It's definitely above the Dragon Warrior games are at this uh console in this era. I think was better than Final Fantasy games.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, they look better. They feel better.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a better game. But oh man, these old RPGs are so hard to play now.
they really are, especially playing them the way that we're playing them without the, the instruction manual
Or anything.
or the issue of Nintendo Power that walks you through how to do stuff, where we're trying to.
I'm really curious to like when people bought this game back in the day, if they were able to beat it, because not a lot of us were us that get Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
And I don't think that in Japan they show instructions like that. I mean, maybe. I mean, I know Zelda got one, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, tell you what, let me look
But
and see if I can find, just because it's the internet and I feel like somebody probably did. Somebody has uploaded the instruction manual for this game as a PDF. They have. Look at that. Okay. Let's see what we got here. If it's anything
that's crazy.
that's helpful.
Oh,
It
internet.
is. Okay, this is not the instruction manual. This is the Explorer's Handbook, which I can't tell if it looks like almost a full-size magazine. 18 pages. Well, 36 pages because it's front and back, but it's an 18-page PDF. And it walks you through the controllers, the commands, places to visit. That's all stuff you can kind of pick up on your own. Characters, that's all stuff that you already know. Commands and fighting mode, yeah. Fighting mode. Wagon, that's not a thing we've come across. Losing your team. All right. Okay. Yes. So starting on page 23 of this guide is a walkthrough, not a full-on walkthrough, but like there's a Q&A section. Like it has sort of a flow chart of how you're supposed to go through things. Like chapter 1, start in Berland and be at about level 1. Well, you'll be at level 1 because the game starts there. When you get to the cave to Ismet, you should be at level 3. When you're at Ismet, level 4. Be at level 5 when you get to the bottom of the old well, and there you'll find flying shoes and Healy, and then use that to get to the lock tower, where you should be at level 7 to find the missing children, and then and
that is pretty cool.
Then there's like a Q&A for each like chapter within that. I've looked all over, but I can't find the flying shoes. Where should I search? So yeah, I don't know if this came with it. It kind of looks like it came with it because it has the warranty for the game cartridge itself on the back page. Yeah, I think this book came with the game.
Well, that's pretty cool.
If it advances, I think that means we can use this in the next playthrough. Like how I found that map from Zelda.
Right.
I think, in our goal being to play the games the way they were meant to be played, like the way they were played at the time, I think we could probably use that PDF to help us. But aside from that, it would have to win here. And I'm not sure that it's ready for that because Rescue Rangers is really, really good.
Yeah, this might be a hard one, but
this might be a hard one. But before we get to picking a winner and all of that, we want to find out who made it farther.
Let's do it.
Who made it farther? Who made it farther?
All right, so Rescue Rangers. How far did you make it this time? I know you had. I feel like you had stalled out around like G last time.
Yeah. So did this have a password?
No.
Okay, I got to the same place.
I made it to Fat Cat, the final boss of the game, that died
Wow,
and had to start over with about 10 minutes left. So did
dude,
not
that's
beat the game,
crazy.
but I made it to Fat Cat.
That's
So,
awesome. You beat me,
yeah.
man.
So
I'm slacking.
that's 3 in a row for me. That's pretty wild. I won both games last week, and now I have almost completely closed the gap. Dragon Warrior 4, a little harder to judge, but I was definitely at like a critical story juncture when I died. I
Yeah,
made it.
same.
I made it to
But
that tower that you need the flying shoes to get into. I made it to the boss at the end of that tower, trying to rescue the kids. Like a kid comes running over and is like, don't let him take me or something. And then the bad guy like comes down off his throne and he's got this little like eyeball companion. So I had to fight both of them. I killed the boss, but the little henchman guy killed me. With like 2 minutes left in the hour, so I had to
oh,
restart back at the village from the last time I had talked to a priest to save my game. So I did not
I
rescue the
think
children in the tower.
I definitely made it to the tower. Was I think we're at the same place. I made it to Ciro's Shadow.
That sounds right. That name is very familiar. Let me see if I can
Yeah.
find that picture. It was
And it had like a little green eye looking
then like a
minion
giant
thing.
eyeball that was with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that's 100% where I made it. So we tied.
Nice.
I killed the boss, but lost the fight because the henchman hit me when I had run out of MP, so I couldn't. Healy was already dead, and I'd run out of MP, so I couldn't cast heal on myself before I died. So,
Oh no.
yep. Well, so still doing pretty well. Haven't lost a game in 2 weeks, so that's something. But I guess it is
Yeah,
time to
man,
pick a
you're
winner.
catching up.
I am. I really am. And the winner of this, I think, if memory serves, pull up the bracket here. I think it's facing Bubble Bobble in the next round. It is
Wobble,
indeed.
wobble.
So Bubble Bobble awaits either Chippendale or the what is his name? Ragnar, the soldier. I love how we're both still, after 3 hours, still stuck in the first chapter of this game. Man, that game's gonna be a whole lot different when we hit it with that hint manual. Overwhelmingly, our online vote went to Rescue Rangers. It got 83% of the online vote. And as good as Dragon Warrior 4 is, it's a huge improvement over the other RPGs we've played on the platform throughout this tournament. But yeah, it's got to be Rescue Rangers for me.
I agree. Rescue Rangers was a lot of fun, still a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
I still want to play it. So
Same. I'm determined to beat Fat Cat before this tournament is over. So I guess I need to add another playthrough of it coming up this winter when we hit the round of 16. I should point out, those of you that follow us on social, over 4th of July weekend, I was up in Indiana visiting my folks, and my dad got a flat tire while we were on our way to go pick up Pizza King Pizza. Awesome. But we were basically stranded in their parking lot because he'd run over something that had popped the tire. So we were waiting on AAA to send somebody, and the truck pulls up, and the name of the company is Rescue Rangers. And so I took a picture of that and posted it on our social back 3 months ago, and made a joke about how that has to give them an automatic trip into the next round. I just want to say that's not the reason it's moving on. It's moving on because it's the better game, but it's also funny that it is actually moving on after I made that joke 3 months ago. So
Yeah,
Rhino's question of the week. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was like, yeah, sure.
Rhino's question of the week. Which real life city would you like to see depicted in an 8-bit video game? So it's really hard to do real cities at this time. I'm trying to think of if there were any successful examples. Like, I mean, even still, like the Spider-Man games still don't include all of New York. It's
Sure.
still most of New York, but they kind of like the more residential areas get kind of condensed down. I remember when I was playing the first one for PS4, trying to find my cousin's apartment in Harlem, and her street just doesn't exist in the game. It skips over like 4 blocks of Harlem just because, you know, there's nothing video game exciting in that part of the city. There's just a bagel shop that had really good breakfast sandwiches and a couple of subway stops, and that was about it. So I mean, even still, they're not quite there as far as getting real cities all the way. And Rampage sort of had real cities in as much as each level was named after a city you were destroying, but there was no real discernible difference between like New York and Chicago and LA and Dallas and all of those when you were playing them.
Yeah, man. I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess as a kid, I would have liked to have seen a Detroit-based game that wasn't like RoboCop.
I mean, yeah, I grew up in Florida, so man, everything was beach.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would have liked to have. No, actually, no, I wouldn't. I was like, I would have liked the game in my neighborhood, and no, it was boring as it comes.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could do like I guess Punch Out has like the New York skyline in the background while Mac is doing the bicycling thing between levels.
Yeah, it does look like a
Statue of Liberty and the
Central Park.
Yeah.
Maybe. Even though
So
it doesn't make sense. But
yeah, no, that'd be Battery Park if you had a. I'm blanking on my Manhattan. I think that's the right side of the island, or the south side of the island where you'd be able to see it. A full city depicted in 8 bits. You know what? Let's just say
San Francisco.
Cool. I was thinking something that has like really cool landmarks. So I was thinking Paris, but San Francisco would be cool too.
Yeah.
Like my favorite game version of San Francisco is Crazy Taxi. I love that version of San Francisco.
Sonic Adventure 2.
Yep. Lots and lots of hills, which works well for games. Yeah. So that's pretty much this week's episode. Next week we saw Rescue Rangers avenge DuckTales' loss today, and next week we will see if the original Dragon Warrior can avenge Dragon Warrior 4's loss as it takes on Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest as October rolls on and we continue to play spooky games.
I really wish it was 3. Just saying that now.
I really wish it was 3, but we'll play 3 the week after. Castlevania 3 is against Baseball Stars the following week, which poor Baseball Stars. And before we close out October with scary alien invasion in Contra. Also, not at all because I miscounted the number of weeks and accidentally put the Castlevania games too early. So yeah, next week, Dragon Warrior, Castlevania 2. You can see the full bracket over at our challenge page, challenge, challonge.com/Kings of Consoles. You can see the full schedule of upcoming episodes and the results of every episode up until this one. Buy us a cup of coffee, ko-fi.com/Kings of Consoles. Facebook.com/Kings of Consoles, Kings of Consoles pod at gmail.com. We are at Kings of Consoles on Twitter. I'm at LoopyDate.
And I'm at RickyGN7.
And a new plug that I forgot to add to the list. If you are at all a fan of wrestling, I've started doing a weekly Twitch video over at twitch.tv/PW Simulated, where Mike San Gregorio and I are doing a giant wrestling tournament simulated in the PlayStation 4 version of Fire Pro Wrestling World. We're about a month into it. It's really fun. It's just, a couple of nerdy guys talking wrestling while video game characters fight. So that's good times. So you can check that out every Sunday. Check us out every Thursday. And of course, you can rate, review, subscribe, all that usual good podcasty stuff. Until next week, for Dragon Warrior and Castlevania 2, play old games.
Play old games.
Kings of Consoles is recorded in Nashville and Orlando and is produced and edited by me, Pat Dooley. Thanks to Captive Portal for our theme song, intro for a non-existent video game, which can be found at freemusicarchive.org. And the music and sound effects from this week's games can be found with a quick Google search. The opinions expressed in this and every episode are our own, and we are in no way sponsored by or affiliated with Nintendo. We're just